Springtime is in full swing. The weather is warming up, the blossoms are blooming, and the sounds of lawnmowers and tractors are going on in the distance. If you are in need of a new tractor for that big project this year, or just an upgrade on your lawnmower, don't forget to stop by the hobby tractor stores in Roosevelt or Pleasant Grove while they still have their spring financing programs going on. Tell them about your project this year. They will pair you up with the perfect machine to get the job done. And don't forget to remind them that Scott and Hillary from Surviving Life's Pickles sent you in.
This episode is brought to you from the Sensei Pickle Jar Studios, where they teach you how to use all that money you have saved in your pickle jar over the years towards your financial goals created through the Sensei Financial Roadmap tool. Click on the link in the podcast description to learn more.
Hey everybody, Scott here. I just wanted to stop in and thank you again for tuning in. This is another installment in our Numb series for men's mental health. Today, you get to hear Brett's story. And if you remember from my story, Brett is the second therapist who helped me work through my journey and tell about all the struggles and the triumphs and the hurdles and the wins that I had had in my life to get to the point that I am today. Brett's story is very, very tender and very, very tragic. It will touch on some PTSD. It will touch on some war scenes. It will touch on suicide, drug use, and some trauma. So I wanted to give this disclaimer. If anybody suffers from any of those things, please listen with caution. But I promise you, the content in here is extraordinary. The things Brett shares with everybody on how he's overcome these triumphs to become the amazing therapist and person he is today is just absolutely amazing. So I hope you tune in. I hope you take what he's learned and can use some of it in your life. And again, please share with anybody who's struggling, anybody who needs this information, or any man in your life so that they know they're not alone in their struggles. And without any further ado, here's Brett.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Surviving Life's Pickles. I'm your host, Scott Martin, and thank you again for tuning in. Today, we are doing another episode in our Men's Health Numb series. And I am joined by a wonderful friend of mine, Brett Harrison, today.
Hey, Scott. Thanks for having me on, man.
Happy to have you. So,
Happy to be here.
before we dive into it in Surviving Pickles style, we're going to throw it to Brett really fast. And, what are you grateful for today, sir? What in your life is just super grateful today?
I mean, for me, it's pretty easy when you ask me that. Just a moment ago, very, very quickly, just as I was leaving my house, my little 6-year-old playing with her Christmas toys, just happy as a clam, doing her thing. Like, for individuals like myself, that's something that probably normally would not happen, and something that I quite often just like surface level. Don't really take the time to slow down and really absorb that. And so it was nice to kind of like reflect on that and just like think of her and think of my other kiddos and the fact that I'm fully involved in their lives today at the level that I am. And so, yeah, that. And then the other thing that came across my mind is I'm grateful that you're engaged in this, my dude. When you called me up the first time, like to hear your excitement, the life in your voice, like it was something that I was just like, this is so freaking stoked.
I appreciate that. So, thank you. And today I am extremely grateful for the power and the insight that I have had lately to slow down and listen and let the universe and God kind of guide me to what needs to happen. And the reason behind this is a quick little story. So over the last 2 weeks, I've been really sick, looking at possibly a kidney infection, finding out now that it was all due to some stuff going on with my colon, which I've been struggling with over the last couple of years. But it was Monday of this week. I had finally hit my breaking point where I could not move. I could not do anything. I was in so much pain that I'm like, I have got to go to the ER. I'm done. Like, I've been to the regular doctor that morning. They gave me some medicine. They didn't really know what was going on, but everything was showing the signs of 2 years ago when I went into the hospital and they say, hey, we've got some serious issues here. And when that happened, after going to the doctor, I was just frustrated. I didn't get the answers. Yeah, he gave me, a little bit of pain management, gave me an antibiotic. He said, let's try this and see if it works. So I'm frustrated. I'm in so much pain. And I left the doctor's office. I go to Macy's to pick up my prescriptions and some food because he's like, all you're eating is rice and bananas for the next week. All right. So I go buy a bundle of bananas. I am walking out, and there in the parking lot is my doctor that I cannot get into. He was on his lunch break, picking up lunch at Macy's. I yelled at him, pulled him over, and I just said, I need to talk to you. There's a reason that you were here right now to see me. And I explained to him what was going on. He literally did a parking lot exam on me, went back to the office. He was on call at the hospital. And within a couple hours, I got a phone call back from him. Here's a new prescription. This is what's going on. I've looked at your blood work. I got you. I want you to go through and get all this done. And then I'm going to bring you in a week after your pain and your inflammation's gone. And we'll really dive into other options. But I want to get you comfortable because I was able to find him in that parking lot and I was guided there at that specific time. I didn't have to spend the weekends in the hospital, which it was starting to look like it was going to happen. My gratitude is just being open, just being available to receive those things when I need to. And I've been so closed off to them for so many years. And so I am so grateful that I am open to that now.
We ain't young bucks anymore, Scott.
That we're not. We're getting old. So, well, let's start into this episode. Let me give you guys a little history on Brett. He is middle-aged, just like the rest of us. We're just running. He's got a couple kids. How long you been married, Brett?
Been married, shoot, tell me if I was like pausing on this right now.
8 years. 8 years married. Okay. Brett is in recovery. How long has that been?
7 years.
7 years in recovery. Okay.
November 22nd.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful. And then kind of before that, he's a 6-year Utah Army National Guard. You served 2 tours.
Yep.
Each of them were a year-long boots on the ground.
Yep. In Iraq.
During all this mess in the past few years that's been going on.
Yes.
So, and we'll kind of get into a little bit more of that in your story as well. But thank you. I mean, I come from a military family and I know what it takes on your side and I know what it takes on the other side. And I will say thank you for everything that you did so that we can sit here today and have this conversation.
And it's interesting because I did not know that your dad served in the Gulf War.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool to hear that too. Like, see your perspective because it is hard. It is so difficult on the loved ones. And we quite often overshadow them at times. So,
right.
Get to know you a little bit more, man.
Every day, right?
Yes.
Every day. So Brett now, after serving in the Army, came back and he struggled with some recovery. He had some PTSD, and he decided that he wanted to help other vets once you kind of got yourself straightened out.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
So you've been a licensed social worker and a lead therapist and been in the field for a total of 8 years now.
Yep. Started at the very bottom, dipping my toes into this field of like, do I want to be a helping professional? And so started at it frontline as, some places call them techs, some call them the frontline staff, and then just kind of worked my way up there to case management. And then was like, yep, this is my jam. This is my passion. Always said, I want to put my pain to good use. All these firsthand shit experiences. I want to put them to good use.
100%. 100%. And that's really what this podcast is all about, is navigating life's journeys together, sharing our experiences. I was listening to a podcast just this week, and I don't remember the guy's name. I will bring this up in another one, and I will bring it back to all of you. But he quoted in this, and this is a podcast on grief, but it really applies to everything. He quoted that the only way to truly heal as a human is through the connection of sharing your story and experiencing other people's stories so that you can connect and use that energy in yourself and in them to truly heal. And I thought it was powerful.
Absolutely. And 100% agree. The opposite of addiction, PTSD, anything that we're struggling with as human beings is connection. That's why I'm at residential. A group of individuals from all parts of the nation, throw them in together, and instantly they start diving into some work and some pretty amazing, beautiful things take place. It was the one thing I was missing when I got out of the military. Couldn't figure it out. That missing piece was the camaraderie. There's only so many jokes you can tell before you're forced to get real with the guy sitting to your left and right. And then they get to know you better than anyone else on the face of the planet Earth.
Right.
So, and there's something inherently like beautiful about that. And I was missing that desperately when I got out. So this individual who stated that, 100%, 100%.
Yeah, it was just a beautiful way of putting it.
Yeah.
So, but
all of us think we're alone in some way, shape, or form, right?
right.
When we're going through this crap. Truth is, it's not.
Right. Right. And that's, I mean, quite honestly, you hit it right on the head. That is why we're doing this series, this Numb series. That is why writing this book that is going to come of this Numb series and these interviews is so important to me, of getting the message out to all these men that they are not alone. Mm-hmm. You know what? I thought my story was very unique. I thought I was the only one. And as I am moving through this and just talking to people, I'm not unique. I mean, I am, but my story is not unique. It's experienced through so many other guys. And we've talked about this multiple times on the show already, of 8 out of 10 suicides are men. And it's because we just think we're alone and we don't have to do it alone. And so I'm really hoping that, you know, this particular series we're doing really opens some eyes and really at least touches one guy and helps him out there. I would feel like this is a success if we can reach one guy and help him through what he's going through.
Pain knows pain.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, let's kind of dive in. So I want to just get a little background, Brett. I want to talk about the early years. I want to talk about a little bit of your childhood, specifically, you know, just mention where you were raised. That gives us a little, you know, dynamic, because different parts of the country, obviously, things are a little different.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to hear your views in early childhood of what was your views on what a man should be and what should a man do with his emotions. And I always start with this example from mine is little boys are supposed to be seen, not heard. So with that, what brings up that to you? And what did your childhood look like? What was your view as far as what a man should be in your early years?
I mean, it was shaped very, very early on for me. Youngest of 4 boys.
Good.
Huge family, especially on my paternal side. Like tons of uncles, aunts, a lot of boys in the family. For me, I was born and raised in Spanish Fork, good old Spanish Fork, Utah. Loved it there. No longer a small little town as it once was, but a lot of good memories from that time in my life. I mean, I honestly had an incredible upbringing. I don't think anyone else could have asked for this type of family to be selected, to be placed in. Brothers were amazing. Dad was awesome. Mom always showed up, cooked. I can't remember through my entire time going to school that I didn't wake up with a hot meal. And my mom was working full time as well. So,
I mean, really, it's kind of the American dream that you see on TV, right? You had the American family.
Yes. And hard to do. Hard for me to do what she did. Wake up and cook that. So being the youngest, like very early on, I'm the baby of the family. Brett's the baby.
Gets whatever he wants, right?
And like, it was also ingrained in me as being the baby that emotions weren't good. And I was a very, very emotional individual. Still am. Like, and I hated it. Hated it. My mom would always tell me, like, Brett, you wear your heart on your sleeve. And I took that as like a dig. It was not a good thing. Dad was retired full-time military. Same with my oldest brother, Brady. My second oldest, Kyle, is still in Command Sergeant Major, where he's at now. So he's tippy top of the enlisted path. Um, Brother Jared, an amazing, incredible brother. They were great. And yet, for me, much like you said, uh, boys, children should be seen, not heard type of a thing. For me, it was just trying to find my place. And what took away from that was emotion. Some of my earliest memories, and this isn't anything against like my upbringing or anything, people tried to help me pick it apart. Well, it's because you were the baby of the family. Like, you just never felt like you had your place. And it's like, no, this felt a little bit more inherent, where it felt like I was missing something. Something inside of me was missing. And I was constantly searching for that. So as I was doing that, I was battling continuously with myself, with my emotions, who I truly was, like trying to figure out, mold myself into something that would bring acceptance, regardless of who I was around. And that was like a revolving theme for me throughout my younger years, going from one group to another, kind of constantly waiting for the other shoe to drop. And the one thing that stood out to me over and over again, that the catalyst to those moments, was I would have some type of like emotional, I don't want to say outburst. I expressed some emotion, tears or sadness or frustration or anger. And it seemed in my mind at that time to push people away. And so as a result, I learned very quickly, stow that shit. Stuff way, way, way down deep. Don't ever show it. Only present what I think others want to see.
Right. Well, and what others at that time in that as your childhood, really what others are supposed to see, right? That what you thought they're only supposed to see this side of me.
Yeah.
Because I'm a boy growing into a man, right?
Mm-hmm. And not even knowing what the hell that meant at
Yeah.
that point in time, what
Right.
it is to be a man. Like, for me, it was to be like with what I saw with all my brothers.
Tough going to the military, growing up. Yeah.
Absolutely rugged, rough, like putting on my brother's uniform and playing army in the backyard. And then, like, my mom, bless her heart, like, I'm the baby of the family, and her kind of nurturing me very, very gently, but also like reinforcing in my head that, you wear your heart on your sleeve, emotions aren't bad, but it did not come close, because that's not what I saw. What I saw outside of my family circle was everything but that. I didn't know how to take in, sorry, her advice and the words that she was trying to give me at that point in time. Because there were words of wisdom, but a little 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 year old does not know how to take that in at that point in time.
It sounds like mom really wanted you to grow up and tried to help guide you in that emotional journey. She wanted, but because maybe she's seen your brothers at that time of, hey, they don't show emotions. Maybe I can help this last baby. He's my little one. Maybe I can instill that. But at the same time, you were seeing the opposite with your dad and your brothers and your friends, right?
Yeah.
So having that as your childhood, now let's kind of move up a few years to like early teen years, 12 to 13, 14, 15, 16 years.
Mm-hmm.
You're starting all of a sudden all the changes with your body. We all have the puberty thing happen, and you're becoming a man now. Like, you get to go to school and say, hey, look, I got a mustache, or whatever's going on. So did that view change as you kind of grew up? And then also, I feel like that's kind of the time we're really trying to find ourselves as far as spirituality, religion, all of that stuff. Did any of that play a factor into the next few years and how you viewed being a man, or did it change anything for you?
I mean, absolutely. Like, my birthday's in June. My parents, it's a resentment that I will work through for the rest of my damn life because they chose to push me ahead rather than hold me back. So I was not only the baby of the family,
You're the baby at school.
yes, like one of the youngest always, last to get my license, last to like hit that stage of puberty, and everyone's talking about it. And so that just kind of reinforced in me that everything about me, everything about being a man in this world, uh, I was kind of getting the short end of the stick type of a thing. It was never enough, like, which is one of my core beliefs that pops up every now and again still, is that, I'll never be enough. So how do I be enough for individuals at that point in time? And it's doing what I saw other individuals doing that were always a little bit further ahead than me. And so,
So
yeah, kind of transitioning with that, like, I mean, religion, obviously, living in Utah, there's a lot of emphasis placed, which is a great thing, on faith. And it was something that was like second to everything else because that's not where I was finding that acceptance piece. I was finding it outside of myself, always outside of myself, always outside of me. Like, and that could be about myself, could be about others. For me, I feel that it's more like this inherent thing that's always been a part of me. Like, the only way to be good enough, the only way to be a man in this world, to be respected, to be accepted, is to be something that I'm not.
something that somebody perceives
Mm-hmm.
that you should be, or that they see that you should be acting like.
Something that I perceive, they're perceiving that I should be.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole damn mess.
Oh, okay. So you're in these teenage years. You are really the youngest in the class. You're running, trying to keep up with all the older kids. These guys, again, like you were saying, they matured a little bit sooner than you because you were the
Mm-hmm.
youngest. And so they're becoming, quotations here, men before you were in your eyes.
Yeah,
And so you were trying to be, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but you were trying to be possibly a little bit tougher, a little bit more rigid, a little bit more manly as we perceive it during that time. Is that correct?
absolutely. Perfect. Like, no flaws. Don't give them, and this them is generalized to everyone that I interacted with, especially everyone that I wanted to be around. Don't give them an inch. Don't let them see any flaws. Don't let them see cracks. I mean, and for a time there, I believe it was like seventh grade. So stepping back a little bit, and I think everyone experiences this, but like experiencing bullying at school really, really shaped me and like really reinforced that any flaw, any misstep, any mistake is going to be taken advantage of, is going to be push me outside that circle of acceptance. And I remember having that shift because I manned up one day and I was like, told this bully who I'll never forget, great individual, great dude. That like, I was just like, you know what? I've had enough. Let's throw down. Like, let's do this. Let's like, and we ended up not fighting, but he ended up like stopping with bullying and even had a little bit of respect for me.
Because you kind of stood up
Yeah.
at that point.
Yeah. Whereas before it was like a lot of emotion, terrified of going to school, terrified of running into him and others. And so that in my mind, and yet it still didn't like sit right within my system. Like fighting and just going after it. And this is something that I saw throughout my high school career, throughout my like K through 12, a lot of individuals that kind of thrived. They loved it. And I was like, you guys are out of your damn minds. Like, let's go to the next city and fight, a Spanish Fork against Springville, Spanish Fork against Payson, small town scuffs that take place. And they loved it, dude. And I was like, I am terrified. I don't want to get punched in the face. And they're like, dude, it's all right. And it's something that never stuck right with me.
Well, and I'll just throw this in there for people who aren't from Utah listening to this. I mean, Brett was growing up literally in the era of when Footloose was filmed, and it was filmed in the
That's
same
right.
area that you grew up. So just a little background, that's a little bit funny to the story of literally you were living what they were showing in that movie of going to the next town and brawling with, the tougher guys trying to be the bigger town. Right?
Yeah. Like football games, basketball games, like it was a mix of emotions for me because I was like, yeah, I get to go and hang out with everyone, but I know this is going to turn into a brawl. And so, yeah, Footloose was filmed in Payson, by the way. Good old Kevin Bacon.
So you're kind of making it through, and you've set a really good picture of, kind of what your high school experience was, is really trying to be the bigger guy, trying to be a little bit tougher than the next guy. I mean, did that continue the whole way through high school? Like, was that your whole experience? Did that change towards the end as you got like to a senior, or was that pretty much the whole time?
I mean, for me, I had two great friends through my sophomore and junior year. Like I always do. If you're gonna be dumb, you got to be tough. And so I'm pretty damn dumb and stubborn. And so I do things backwards at times. And so my sophomore junior year was like had two friends, was great, 4.0, wonderful student. And then as we do and as they did, they both got girlfriends. Felt like at the exact same time, and then I was just a footnote. And so like I was kind of floundering, and uh, those same individuals that just loved to brawl, loved to fight, kind of like welcomed me into their flock, but they were doing a lot of things that I was not used to, like a lot of drinking, a lot of using drugs. And in Utah County at this time, that's when like that huge pill epidemic was taking place, oxy. And so like I got initiated into that scene very rapidly. And yes, this is what the boys were doing. This is what they were engaging in.
Bad boys, tough guys, right?
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah. The backlot crew. Yes. Backlot is where like all the ruffians go out and like, do what we did. Slough in school, drinking, smoking, doing drugs, stuff like that. And so, yeah, it was a rapid process of going from one substance to another, to another, to another, to another. But with that said, something that I no longer had to do was I didn't have to try. I didn't have to try to be like one of them. They just welcomed me in, and all I had to do was like partake.
Well, and that's probably the time of, like you say, you didn't have to try anymore, but at the same time, you didn't have to try to hide your emotions. You didn't have to try to, put that, because you were using substance that was numbing everything. And so you were just naturally, I mean, because of what you were doing, you were just all of a sudden numb to everything else going on. I mean, is that correct?
Yeah, and it wasn't like I took my first hit of whatever the hell it was. It was like instantly like, oh my God, I love this. But what it allowed me to do is like, yes, it calmed me out and just made me instantly one of them, part of the crew.
Instantly accepted
Yes.
for who you are, just because you were doing what they were doing.
Yes, absolutely. Which absolutely like leveled my emotional state out, my anxiety, my fear, all of those quote unquote unacceptable emotions. Um, Leveled me out. The love for like the feeling came afterwards, but it came very quickly for me because it allowed me, whether it be, kind of with what you said of like numbing out all of these unacceptable emotions while at the same time making me feel that sense of euphoria, which made me feel like, confident, courageous, and willing to fight at that point in time.
Now you're the man that everybody wants you to be, because now you feel indestructible.
And if you don't like me at that point in time because of it, screw you. I don't give a shit.
I'll show you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the fear's gone.
Yeah.
Um, so as that continues, this lifestyle, I mean, so that started you kind of on that road, graduating high school. Did that lifestyle then continue where you were just still, that was your outlet? That was how you didn't have to show emotions, because now you're a man, you're doing this, you're the tough guy. I mean, did that continue after high school?
Oh, absolutely. Like it escalated very, very quickly for me from like smoking weed with them to getting some of my own into like, using mushrooms, into then like very like this is in a matter of months going from one substance to another very quickly into cocaine and heroin, transitioning from that to pills. Oxycontin, like I said, was a huge thing at that point in time. And then being absolutely like physically dependent, psychologically addicted at that point in time. And the last thing I wanted to do is like go into another environment, meaning AKA going back to school and trying to try this formula all over again. Didn't want to start working immediately either. Obviously, the drugs had something to do with that. And so after I graduated, like just kind of like being, not really doing a whole lot, having odd jobs here and there, obviously keeping them, getting fired or walking away from them very quickly. And I could just see what was taking place. Individuals were getting arrested, going to jail. Some were dying, like some were taking their own lives. Individual that used to tend me when I was a kid, loved this dude, ended up committing suicide as a direct result, which had a huge, huge impact on me. And so I could see where this path was taking me and didn't know any way out, but I could see where it was successful and where it could be a potential out for me if I enlisted.
So military for you was kind of the saving grace in a way of, I need something to change my life. I'm going to see if this works.
Yes.
And again, going back to your childhood, all your brothers were in it. Your dad was in it. That was what real men did. They joined the army. They went into the military. They went and fought wars. I mean, is that wasn't maybe another thought going through your head?
That, and in addition to like, this will help progress me in my phase of development of like figuring out what the hell I'm going to do in life. Like still feeling like honestly at that point in time, like just like a little kid, just like a little boy, scared little boy, not knowing what the hell life had in store for me, no direction in life. And so, yeah, just not only my brothers, my dad and uncles and grandpas on both sides, and like strong tradition with military in my family. So it was like, yeah, this is the next right step, I guess.
Yeah. So, I mean, joining the military now, what age was that? What
Joined at 18.
At 18. So
Mm-hmm.
right out of high school then.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, did you get sober?
I did.
Okay.
I got
100%, or was there still, and I always ask that because people say I'm sober, but I still drink alcohol or this. And so that's why I want to ask, I mean, did you 100% sober, or was, hey, I'm sober from all the stuff the military doesn't allow, but if it was legal, I was still using it?
So for me, I got sober for long enough to go to MEPS, pee in a cup, do the damn duck walk across the floor and all the crazy shit they do at MEPS, to enlist, and then very quickly, like, found myself falling back into that same pattern again.
I mean, and with the military, I mean, really, it is sad, but if anybody has family or you've been in it, it's kind of a catalyst for that type of behavior, especially when you're deployed, because you need something. I mean, correct?
And it's encouraged, like,
Right.
be a part of again. Like, let's go to the NCO club, or let's go out to the bar. Let's like, let's go blow off some steam, whatever it may be. Let's have a couple rounds that turn into a couple more, and then a couple more, and a couple more.
Okay, so now you're in the military, and at this point you're probably getting pretty close to your first deployment.
Mm-hmm.
Just timeline in my head that I'm thinking. So let's kind of walk through that. I mean, you're getting deployed, you're headed out for that, and I really kind of just want to stay on this path of what was your outlook as still being a man at this point? Was it okay to share how you were feeling with your fellow guys in your troop going out, or was that like absolutely not? We're just going to go have a couple rounds and we're not going to talk about it. Like how did that transpire over the next little bit as this first deployment happened?
Well, they didn't have a clue, like no one did, about my past. And so a big theme throughout my childhood, high school, obviously, is like big part of my story is that shame piece. Like I am not okay with who I am, and I still cannot let anyone know like these deep seated secrets that I held against and harbored against myself. And so no, like I had to try and be something still that I wasn't. And it was told to me like all growing up that, oh man, you look so young, you look so young. So I was always trying to look older, yes, because I wanted to be perceived as one of, not outside of.
You want to be accepted.
Yes, so bad, so bad. And yet I didn't know at that point in time this need to be accepted. Like individuals can feel that, they can see that. A lot of individuals, they don't like that for whatever reason. And so yes, as we're deploying, like trying to keep up, trying to be something that I'm not. And like I'll tell you right now, and I normally wouldn't share this with you, like I felt like I was like bottom of the barrel as far as like soldiers go on when we were mobilizing, like getting ready to head out. I just wasn't making the cut. I wasn't to where I should have been. Um, and so I made a vow once we got done with Mob Station and hit Kuwait for the first time. Like I was like, okay, I'm going to prove my goal essentially that I'm not even saying aloud is I'm going to prove my worth.
Everybody around you.
Yep. Like on this tour, like that there's going to be no doubt in their mind and in mine, uh, that I'm worthy of being a part of this, like this wonderful group of individuals that I'm deploying.
Well, and you saying that, and the men out there listening, they're probably thinking, but that's the guy that I want to lead me. Like this guy's giving it his all. This guy's fully in it. This guy's going to have my back. Like for me, that's kind of what I would be seeing if I was in your group with you, with your platoon. Um, I would want to be with you because you're giving it all and I can see it. And it sounds like that's what you were striving because that was the only way you knew how to just put that shame down.
Absolutely. An external effort. Put in the work.
Right.
Like when everyone's getting ready to hit their cots at night, hit their butts, uh, I'm going to go out and do a 2 mile run. And then when everyone's like super tired, I'm going to be the first one to raise my hand. And it got reinforced like big time at the end of my tour. We were 11 months in, boots on ground in Iraq, getting ready to do left seat, right seats where an incoming unit's coming in and we're driving essentially, metaphorically. And then, so they're seeing us in action doing what we're doing, and then we swap and we go to the passenger. Yep. And then we watch them, give them, tips. And I remember that. I remember we had a long ass convoy that we went on, long convoy. And we were up hours. I remember I was like the point of delusion, like 15, 16 hours straight. We get back and our NCIC asked for a couple volunteers, and instantly me and my battle were like, yeah, right here. What do you need? And when we left, someone came to me later and he's like, hey, just so you know, he said that he wasn't too sure about you during Mo Station, but he sure as hell is glad that he brought you and to have you a part. And right there, I was like, holy shit. Like, I am complete.
You succeeded with what you're trying to
do. Yes. And how I do that is I put in, I may not be the smartest, and this has been a mantra of mine. It's not the best mantra, but I'm like, I may not be the smartest, but I can outwork anybody. And it's been that way for a majority of my life. Doesn't necessarily mean that's the case today, because I don't need to. And you're right, like there's certain benefits to it, especially when you have it reinforced in ways of like brotherhood and connection and acceptance. And that takes that shame and just melts that shit away instantly. Yes. I have arrived type of a thing.
Well, it's a lot kind of, you've got to this point, and I've used this with the other guys. We've talked about this is you feel like you've arrived. I mean, you put it well. You're now the man or the man's man of how the world or how you perceive that the world should perceive a real man. Like you've hit that point of what you had been taught to look at, what you had been taught to feel at this point.
Yeah.
And so now you've hit this point did you still feel like there was something not there?
Always. Like it was brief.
It was deeper, like you suppressed it.
Yes. So like kind of that innateness is just something that had always been missing. Even though like getting those comments and like getting a perfect 300 APFT, that's our fitness test score. That's like you hit the max at every level. Um, like always having my shit squared away, always being the one that they could rely on and count on. It was fleeting. Like it would give me that brief reprieve, but there was still always something there. Yeah. And about like shortly after this, like 11 months into my tour, as we're getting ready to transition out, um, I don't even know if we've talked about this before. I don't think we have. So every GI has that girl back home.
Okay.
I'll say every soldier, sailor, airman, marine, and coastie. When you're on tour and 11 months in, like, I mean, we had broken up before we had left. Like, found some like shit that was taking place. I was going on tour. I needed to have my head right, head in the game. I had no idea what the hell I was talking about or doing. When you get overseas, you get quite lonely, and so I got an email from her. One turned to two, turned to three, turned into it. Hitting the phone booth when I could get in there. Calling back home. 11 months into my tour, like all I can think about is, getting everything transitioned over, getting the hell out of here, like hit that 365-day mark, go to Kuwait, I can rest, we can head back home. Um, Things are looking pretty good for me at this point in time. Like I have arrived, or at least felt that I had. Uh, yeah, 11 months in, I get an email from my father, and it just simply reads, it says, Brett, you need to call home as soon as possible. And I never got an email like that from him. And so instantly my mind's like racing. So I'm going from like where we would be able to access the computers running straight to the phone booths. There are like these wooden shacks that we just built, and then you'd have to use AT&T phone cards. Like shit sounds crazy now saying that, like thinking about today. Um, and my heart's just like pounding. Like, is it my mom? Is it my brothers? Like, is it, any of my relatives? What is taking place? And I get on the phone and he's like, Brett, I don't know how to say this. He's like, when he passed away, when he died. And like, I just remember sitting in that space, in shock. Like I'd worked so hard to become and turn into the individual that I always wanted to be, but never could, and had all of this life like planned out in my head of what it was going to look like. And that was the last freaking thing that I ever expected to happen. And I remember leaving that and going to my NCOIC and just like being like, this is what happened, dude. And I'm like, I need to go. Like in that moment, I didn't know what was happening, but I was basically like, I'm in fight, flight, freeze in this moment. I need to run away from this goddamn pain. I need to get away. And he was like, yeah, whatever you need, dude. Whatever you need. Uh, and I remember running back to, where we resided, um, and just walking in and just feeling like my whole damn world had shattered into a million pieces. And again, like just wanting to sit in this pain alone, not wanting my best friend at that point in time. He'll always be my best friend, Brett Crane, great dude. Um, him hearing about it and just instantly, doing what we do, running into me, like, dude, I heard, what the hell do you need? And still at that point in time, taking all that emotion and just shoving that shit down. And I get emotional over it still, like today. And I remember that night, like just wanting to be alone, just telling him like, I'm gonna be all right, guys. I'm gonna be okay. Um, and I remember finding a place on a Hesco barrier, like these great big, huge barriers, square blocks. They fill a ton of sand, sitting on it and just staring at the sun and just weeping, just weeping, but doing it alone because I can't let anyone see the real pain that I'm in. I don't even know how to react in this moment to that pain. And it's standardized. It's a standard operating procedure within the military. If you're not married, like I was like, well, we technically engaged, hadn't got to that point yet, but this is the plan. I couldn't go home. I couldn't go grieve. Like I had to do everything over the phone, just feeling completely disconnected. Yeah, and even with that, like there was shame with that with me. Like that when I finally got out, which we'll get into, I'm sure, and sought help, that I never even brought this up because I didn't think it was the thing that I should be struggling with. There's a lot of shit that took place on that first tour. And this is one of the things that stands out to me. What the hell is wrong with me? You know? So you take like all my past up to that point, like in that moment, I think I was 19 at the time, like just feeling completely lost again. Like I was back being that little 6-year-old boy that didn't fit in anywhere, innately didn't feel like I was enough, definitely didn't feel accepted, felt like just inherently flawed.
So was this kind of the breaking point moment, or some like call it the awakening or the aha moment for you of I don't want to feel numb anymore, or it started to seek out something different, or when you got home, did you just kind of keep this down still and just continue to stay on the path you were on? I mean, was this kind of that moment for you, or did this moment, I mean, happen later? And if so, in between, what happened?
Like definitely wasn't the aha moment.
Yeah.
Like to me, I was still like thinking about it. I was looking at a picture of me the other day and I'm like, oh my hell. Like, 'cause I was just over at my parents' house for Christmas and they have a picture of me when I came back off my first tour and I was just like, I was so young, dude.
Yeah.
It was the opposite. It was like, I need to push this down even further. I need to numb out from this.
So it reinforced that feeling for you.
Yep. And when I got home, I couldn't function. I, I, I go from being able to multitask, feels like doing 5 things at once with 3 things running in the background overseas. And I didn't know in like that high intensity day in, day out that like, you know, your cortisol, all these chemicals are pumping in and flowing through your system that make it possible to do that. There's got to be a point where you are tapping out of that crap. And so for me, it was like, you know, got home, best feeling, better than any drug I've ever taken, better than almost better than the only thing that beats it probably is watching the birth of my daughter. But like getting home and like just having this like, holy shit, we made it. Like we're here. And literally like it's cliche, but I did it, no shame. Like kissing the ground of US soil and just being like so grateful to be home. And when the nostalgia of that like that feeling very fleeting wore off, going from where I was, it just high functioning, like constant go, 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 meeting that need, remember, of like being able to suppress that shame to feeling like I can't even tie my damn boots, like just struggling. Mind's all over the place. I think I was home for 2, maybe 3 months, and another unit was getting mobilized to go out. And I was like, I don't function here. I don't necessarily want to go back there, but I kind of really do, which is kind of screwed up. But I do know where I function extremely well. And so I volunteered.
Let's go back into it.
Yeah.
And really, I don't personally know what the percentage is, but I know it's very, very high of that's why a lot of people jump right back in and go back over is for exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, that like in tons. It's extremely complex. Like that inherent feeling that I talked about, like deep down inside me, also feeling something similar to that that's still over there, like unfinished business type of a thing. And so at the shock of my poor damn mother and my father and my three older brothers, like I'm the baby. And so like me volunteering, they're like, what the hell is wrong with you? And inside I'm like, I don't know. Something, but I know where I function. I know where I excel. I know what I know.
Where you felt alive,
Yes.
right? I
Yes.
mean,
Thriving.
and again, going back to that's where you felt like you were truly the man that you were supposed to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what you thought, at least at this
This,
point.
yes, this pinnacle and vision of what it means to have arrived. And I remember stepping off the plane in Kuwait, and Kuwait has a very distinct smell that I didn't catch my first time. Um, when I stepped off the plane, and this like it's like hot, humid, sandy, mixed with sea and the ocean air hit me, and it hit those olfactory senses, and I was just like, shit. Well, no turn back now. Let's
Here.
make the best of it. Let's go.
So now you're on the ground for the second time.
Mm-hmm.
You were only home for 2 months.
No, I like home probably I would say about 6 months because we had to mobilize. I was with a battalion headquarters that they intern, which they do with a lot of National Guard Reserve units. They'll like take a unit and they'll be like, hey, we're going to shift your mission into this. And so obviously that takes a lot of training, a lot of prep work, getting into that. And so that's what they did with us. We had to really take some time to get everything geared up and then hit Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, lost in the woods. And we were there for like probably 4 months, quite a while.
Okay. But I mean, you are full time again,
Yes.
back in military mode. You're a full time soldier.
Yeah.
Mom, dad, everybody's out of the picture other than the standard phone calls again.
Yep.
So you're transitioning back into that guy.
Yeah. Trying to at least.
Yeah. So, so let's talk about this second tour. I mean, I know there were some moments in this that has really moved you to where you're at now. So, tell us a little bit about the second tour and kind of what happened over there.
So the second tour was drastically different than the first. Like we were a battalion headquarters unit, meaning there's a lot of high brass, a lot of upper echelon. We had a full bird colonel, a couple majors, so a lot of officers. And so we had a lot of like secret squirrel type of work, which kept us on post, which sucked in a lot of ways. But yeah, like it was different. It was difficult in different types of ways. Whereas the first tour, it was like a lot of convoys, a lot of convoy security, going from fob to fob. Um, and it was just as high intensity pace, but just in a different manner. Uh, and for me, didn't really notice like too many changes that were taking place. Still doing my thing, really excelling at what I'm doing. Like still a yes man. Like who needs volunteers? And they always say that you never raise your hand or volunteer. I'm like, for me, it's like
You always did.
yes, like this is how this is me now. Like this just isn't what I do. This is me.
It's who you are.
Yeah.
And you didn't have really, I mean, because with the passing of Whitney during the first one, it was just you.
Yeah.
At this point. Like I mean, that's it.
Yep. And I mean, mom and dad were great, like sending packages and getting a lot of mail from my family and stuff. And yet, like, even with that, just reinforcing that over here, or at least at this kind of type of capacity, is where I'm supposed to be. This is where I excel. This is where I succeed. I mean, and cost is extremely high, but I'm willing to take the cost for the benefits of what I receive. go, go, go. And didn't really notice too many changes. Like, this, we had started to hear, this is in 2005 going into six. So like PTSD was still fairly new. Like at our mob station, demobilizing on off after our first tour, you knew. You answered no to all questions but one. And that way you could just get done with the whole process. But we were just starting to hear. I'm trying to think back of like how we found out, probably through many of the wonderful trainings that the Army puts us through about like this thing called post-traumatic stress disorder. Like, and I'd heard some things, and I may have heard about it then at that point in time, may not have. But what I distinctly remember is, so we were in Baghdad, Camp Victory. There's like Camp Victory, Camp Liberty. There's like three bases on one huge like base. It was there was the airfield there that like did all the transports and stuff. And one night in particular, uh, at another base that was fairly close to us, Camp Falcon, their AHA was hit at that point in time. And I didn't know this. I can't remember how I found it. I think I was attempting to do some research and came across it. And the AHA is like the ammo supply. It's where we keep all our munitions, everything from small arms, all the way up into like, Mark 19 rounds, grenades, everything is in there. Uh, they had some incoming rounds, mortar rounds that came in, directly hit the AHA, and this thing cooked for hours, meaning like just explosions after explosion after explosion. And what kind of like snapped me into this oh shit moment was when the explosions started to happen, even though they were pretty far away from us, like it felt close, like it was shaking the buildings and shit. Um, Jumping out of my cot, hitting the floor, and it's just this constant. And rather than going from the cot floor, I just grabbed my Kevlar and I grabbed my my flak jacket, body armor, um, draped my body over me like a blanket, put my head in my Kevlar as like a pillow, and my battle turns over and he's like, "Dude, what the fuck are you doing?" In that moment, I was like, "Huh," because I was already so acutely aware of like differences, things that hyper aware that made me different, made me stand out in a way that wasn't good. And when he said that, that was the moment I was like, shit. Because he was like, it was his first tour, and he was like, what are you doing? And I'm like, taking cover, maybe?
And you're in where you sleep. Like you're under your cot at this
Yes.
point. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, you damn weirdo type of a thing. In that moment, I was like, okay, something is different. Something has happened. Now, this is another thing, another aspect of myself that I got to be acutely aware of. Acutely aware. And so volunteering stayed the same. However, what I did notice, and normally like took a lot of years of like working on myself, like when they would call for missions outside the wire, like I was a little hesitant. I was a little hesitant to like raise my hand to volunteer to go outside. And that was there's a lot there was and still is at times like a lot of guilt and shame associated with that because of that hesitancy. And the incoming unit, as we were getting ready to, pop smoke, get the hell out of there, head back home, their command sergeant major was like, Brett, if we can get you to stay, will you extend for 3 months to like get us up to speed in specific areas? And you'll have combat pay and like it'll be over this certain amount of time. So like, and for me, that was another moment because I was like really contemplating, but there was a part of me that was like, you can't do this, dude. You won't make it. Like you won't last. And so, going against almost every fiber of my being, but that little voice inside me was like, I can't do it. Sorry, Sergeant Major. I really want to. I want to get home.
So how much longer after that conversation, the decision, did you end up making it back stateside?
So after that, I mean, it was probably about a month and a half. Yeah.
So pretty quick.
Yeah. 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 Because it was right at the end, and he was like, "We need you here. We've got some difficulties with some of our like staff. They're not getting the processes quick enough." And he was right. We could really use your support. And I was like, "Sorry, Sergeant Major. I'm headed home."
Are you happy today that you listened to that little voice?
Uh, yes and no. Because part of me is like, what would have happened if I would have stayed there?
Right.
Would I be where I am?
Would you be here?
It's a good question.
So as you come back stateside, you now are trying to find yourself again
Mm-hmm.
because you're like, hey, I'm done. I'm not going back. So let's kind of, what does that look like? And let's kind of move towards what happened during this time and then what happened as your awakening moment that we'll call it.
Mm-hmm.
From then until that moment and then what that moment was.
Okay. So yeah, getting home, and it was like almost immediate is what it felt like. No nostalgia being home like it was last time. It was just, I've experienced this. I know what to expect. And I think a big part of me was just like waiting on bated breath for the moment that I'm like, okay, here we are again. Um, just kind of bracing for the inevitable. Um, and it came just as I was like expecting to. It started where I began to decline, and my mental health began to deteriorate very rapidly. Um, Very difficult to drink all damn night and wake up morning, not eat anything, extremely like anxious on the verge of panic, and just suppressing this from everyone around me. Still doing full time stuff within the Utah Army National Guard, but just struggling immensely. Like having opportunities but not taking it. Um, Being offered to go do jump school, get airborne certified, and declining it because I didn't feel that I was going to be able to cut it. Um, and this pattern just kept cycling me down and down and down and down. Um, and so as I was getting ready to reenlist or having the option to reenlist, like I knew at some point in time, at least I could foresee that if I reenlisted, this is going to end one of two ways. Like I'm either going to be discharged other than honorable or the alternative, which at that point in time is already beginning to flirt with suicide. Like, because the pain and dishonor of going that route, dealing with this pain that had turned into unending suffering. And the last thing I wanted to do was like sour my entire military career with a bunch of shit that was taking place in the last few months. But I was struggling and doing it all alone. At least I thought I was. Like my parents, my family, my brothers, they could see it. They tried to help, but I wouldn't let any of them wouldn't let any of them see just how bad things were getting for me. And I didn't realize it then, but like my parents would stop by unannounced visits at my apartment. It was a disaster, a wreck, like liquor bottles everywhere, just destroyed, dirty sink, like something that isn't me. Like, very cleanly person. I like things nice and tidy, dress right, dress. And they could just see that their son was like just diminishing before their eyes, and there was nothing they could do about it. And so the time came, and I was like, nope, I'm done. I'm out. Like, I'm not going to re-enlist. Um, and at that point in time, I feel that that was the catalyst that broke me. It wasn't the catalyst to getting me help, but that was the one thing because I excelled at being a soldier and loved being a soldier. I loved serving with my family, like individuals that I grew very close to very quickly. Um, And they could see the dynamic too, like being one way overseas, being something completely different stateside. And because, I mean, you can get alcohol in Iraq, but it's kind of difficult at times.
Yeah.
So it broke me. This thing that was me, this my identity, everything that I was, everything that took away all of that shame, all of that feeling of being less than, not enough, um, came flooding back because now I was a failure. I I quit. I gave up when others that I knew didn't. Others that I knew continued to carry on. I let them down. I let myself down. I let my family down. And following that, very quickly began to spiral. Like ended up not being able to make payments at where I was living. Like at the age of, and I had to have been 25, 26, moving back in with mom and dad. Like, so here I am going from this, combat veteran, done all this cool ass shit, got all these accolades, and it's all for naught.
And you're right back where you started.
Yes. And then really began to struggle. And alcohol works really well until it doesn't. And having dabbled in other substances in the past, chemical connoisseur that I am, uh, I began to dive into heavier drugs, heavier substances. And I just immediately, like, I thought I hit bottom, but I didn't. Like, bottom had about 18 different floors, basements that I had to keep hitting and going through.
Just really falling down the stairs, just numbing by each thing.
Yep. Yep. The only thing I lived for was to get out of my head. Like at this point in time, uh, pretty incredible portrayal of PTSD. It's called Brothers. Like it shows him when he's back one night, like arranging the glasses. It's like 12:30 at night, and he's in his cabinet, just like arranging. You can just see uh, his mind spinning, and that had become my life. They called it my cave, my basement. Never left. The only time I left was to go.
Pick up more alcohol.
Yep.
Or whatever else.
Yes. Yep. To get more and then come back and numb out. Um, couldn't sleep. I was eating like a handful of noodles with butter and garlic salt. That was like my one meal a day. At this point in time, I'm so emaciated. I'm like 136 pounds. Just waiting for death. And it's interesting that we're speaking about this because at Christmas, like I said, I was at my mom and dad's looking at that picture. My dad handed me this envelope and he's like, I had been paying for this. I don't think I need to anymore. If you want to keep paying for it, it's a pretty good policy. But it was essentially my mom and dad had resigned to the fact that they're one day going to wake up and either find me dead due to an overdose or find me dead at my own hands. So they got a damn life insurance policy on me. I mean, in that, and saying that out loud, it's heavy. It is.
And this is how many years later?
That was like, when I was 28, probably about 8 years later, 9 years later. Yeah, that they were just like, it's going to happen. Like, we can't save him.
Because at this point, they really didn't have any idea
How to help.
how to help.
No.
Because you get into that moment of your life, and really though, there is no one else that can help you until you have that moment of asking.
Yes. And so my dad loved that man. Huge enabler. My mom, major hard ass. She's a heart of gold though. Love that woman. Um, they could not do it anymore. And so my dad was just reaching out and letting everyone know, hey, my son is going to die. And I don't know how to save him. And I was killing him too, because he was so stressed out, so stressed out. And I picked up some charges, like after getting out, which again add to the shame. a couple. One was reckless driving, one was DUI. And obviously, I'm not going to court, not paying my fines. And at one point in time, and my mom mentioned it to me, she was like, "How anxiety provoking it must have been for you," because I would tape all of my missed court appearances and all of my fines on my bedroom door as reminders of like, hey, I should probably take care of these.
But no drive, no desire to.
No, I was dead inside. I was like, I had no ambition, no direction, nothing. Like that was my existence. And so because of that, my mom had gotten so fed up. She saved my life. She called the cops on me and had me arrested in her living room, and put my ass in jail. And uh, being me, trying to be manipulative and trying to avoid going because I thought if I could say the right thing, just wouldn't take me to jail, and how naive I was. And they took me in, and stayed in the suicide tank for 10 days, which is hell, especially as my PTSD is severe as it was back then. I mean, it's difficult to describe the nightmare that it was, like the door jills slamming, individuals screaming constantly, like me withdrawing from multiple different substances. Like I thought I was going to die. And then when I finally got out of there and got placed in general pop, my parents came and visited me, and for the first time in what felt like it was the first time in years, I looked at my mom and dad and I was like, I saw exactly what I was doing. They were frail. Their eyes were sunken in. Like they were exhausted. And my dad found some help through the VA, Salt Lake City VA, some wonderful individuals in there. I'll always speak so highly of them. I owe them my life. And they were able to talk with the judge, and they said, okay, he's going to spend 45 days in, and then the only way he's getting released is to go straight to the VA. So from chains to rehab. And that was the beginning of like my recovery journey. And yet going in there, I wouldn't admit I was a guardsman. I wouldn't admit I was in the Utah Army National Guard. I'd just say I was in the Army because there's a stigma, at least in my mind, and there's some validity and truth on both sides, that Army's here and everything else, like reservists. Yes. And so I was still holding on to shit, still unwilling to let go of stuff. I was willing to just begin to scratch the surface because I've got to do what I need to do to be able to be myself, be accepted, not let others see the flaws. And so for the next decade, literally from that point in time, I think total of 9 residential treatments. Sounds like a lot just hearing it fall from my lips.
Right. Especially with what you're doing now.
Yes. 9 residential treatments, a couple times failed going back to school, quite a few incidents of sitting in the intensive psychiatric unit. And it took what it took for me to finally get to a place. And this is where the real catalyst is I remember sitting across my therapist, sitting on the other side of the desk, and she knew. She's like, how much longer do you want to hold on to this, Brett? Like, and it's very, very frankly, and I'm appreciative, like, do you want to die? Like, no, I don't. So what are you afraid of? And I said, I'm afraid if I give this up to you, I don't know who the hell I am anymore. If I hand this over, who am I? And add to that, if I hand this over to you, I have no more excuses. It's on me. She's like, what do you got to lose? Yes, you're right.
At this point, right? I mean, everything you already had, I mean, as far as the world's concerned, you'd lost. I mean, there was nothing, and really you just had you, your body, your soul sitting there.
Yep. Pain's a good motivator. Can't be the motivator yet. In that moment, I wanted something different desperately. So I was like, okay, here it is. And just let it all out. And already with my transition back and forth in between all of the times that I was in residential treatment, the one thing that I loved so much about it. And that was the one thing I spoke about earlier that I miss so desperately was that camaraderie, that connection.
You had something.
Yeah. And I found it in those circles, in those process groups with other individuals who felt just as broken as I did. And yet our combined and collective brokenness created something uniquely beautiful.
So this moment there in the therapist's office, as you're releasing all of this, that you had finally just decided, just it's time. When you had finally kind of released that, was there a moment of you actually feeling? Did you actually, after that was done, did you feel relief? Did you feel maybe some love from your higher power at that moment of, I'm ready to help?
I felt in that moment that something had shifted. I didn't realize just how impactful it was until I got around my peers, like brothers and sisters that I was in treatment with, and let them, for the first time in which felt like my entire life, them see the real me. Warts and all is what they say, I guess. Like flaws and all. Let them see me and not have the end results, not have the outcome that I initially thought it would have been. Yeah. Yeah. Because at that point in time, I had all the outcomes, negative outcomes of what was going to take place.
So that was kind of the moment. Let's talk about the next couple of years. I mean, obviously, that has now changed your view on life. That has changed your view on who you were. Um, what was the next step for you? And as you're moving forward through the next couple of years, how did you embrace this new feeling, this new you, this new person of, I don't have to numb. I don't have to use these things. I want to feel all these emotions.
It was a difficult transition to take that outside of treatment, take that outside of that space and incorporate it into like life in general. And I struggled with that off and on for quite a while. Um, but I knew that because of that connection, because of that feeling I spoke of, that there was something there. And you hear it all the time with individuals that go to treatment and rehab, like, oh, I'm going to be a therapist. Oh, I'm going to be like this, life coach and this and that. And yet for me, I truly wanted to do something in this field as a helping professional. Like I loved it. And I was good at it. I was. And being in treatment residential 9 different times, I mean, it gives you some experience.
Right. Some of that hands-on experience.
Yes. And, for me, like I said, I always wanted to do something because it felt like such a waste. Like to have a decade of just pain and suffering, and for myself and for my family and everyone that knew me and cared about me and loved me, like I wanted to make something out of that, like do something worthy for myself and for them, like not gonna lie. And so had already been dabbling in school, but struggling at times. And yet I was a lot more clear, with what I was wanting to do, despite having fear of like change and failing and going like fully back into school and doing this thing. I had a direction. I had a purpose. And I had people around me now because like I've always had people around me, but I allowed them to see the real me who also believed in me and that I could go to and be open and honest with that would give me direction. And so I was like, let's full send, let's figure this out. Like I want to dip my toes into this. So started, like I said, at the beginning of this, like becoming a frontline staff for a wonderful, wonderful residential treatment facility. And that solidified my decision of like, yep, I want, yep, to be a therapist. Um, whether that be, they're both incredible routes that you can take. I know many wonderful psychologists, clinical mental health counselors, as well as social workers. And I went the social work route. So went to school and still had that I must perform, that perfectionistic side of me. And so, yeah, as I was beginning this journey, had known my now wife for quite some time. And she had connected with me several times on and off through my back and forth, the roller coaster that was my life. Um, and I don't know what the hell I did to trick her into like connecting with me again. Um, but yeah, connected with her, was taking things slow, like putting my recovery first. Um, and that blossomed into an absolutely amazing, incredible relationship, one that I'm totally undeserving of. She's an incredible woman, and uh, she allowed me to join her family. Her became an insta dad with my two kids, uh, Gage and Talia. Um, and it was just surreal at times that this was like the direction my life was moving in. Kind of always in fear of losing it. So obviously, still some things inside that were concerned that this was going to be, I was going to take this away from me, essentially. I was going to screw this up.
Well, and I mean, I'm just going to call you out for a second.
Please.
You mentioned that you have this amazing relationship with her now, and you said you're undeserving, but you're not. You had went through all of this pain. You had pushed yourself to the edge of not being here, and you have pulled yourself all the way back. In my eyes, you are one person that deserves it more than anybody. It's because you earned your stripes. And you know what? You've got a woman that has also had her demons and her struggles,
Mm-hmm.
but she is there by your side 100%. So, I mean, you do deserve it because you've earned. I mean, and I say earned as a metaphor because I don't want to say you earned it. You had to go through all this. You had to go through all this shit to get there. Um, but you know what? This was the path that you needed to go, and she was the person that needed to join you at that fork in the road. And
Yeah.
you guys are going down the path together.
Yeah. And that, Scott, like truly that means a lot coming from you. And you're right. It's the part of me that wants to say it. A better way to say it is that like I am just so incredibly grateful and lucky to have this woman in my life. Like, she has saved me in more ways than one, has always been by my side, had my back, encouraged me, walked with me through some extremely difficult challenges. Long nights, a lot of studying, my need to have that, set that expectation, that bar so high has pulled me away from family stuff and from her, and it's paying out now. It was difficult then.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've kind of got to that point. This has been your journey to kind of get to your career now. Your whole life has changed. Now you are paying it forward in a sense. You know, taking your pain, your struggles, turning it into knowledge to help fellow men that have been down the same road. I know you did work at the VA for a little while,
Yep.
which is incredible in itself to give back to them because they were such a help to you. But I want to kind of turn the table a little bit and ask the question now, what is your view now on what a man really should be in this world?
Mm.
And should he be sharing his emotions? What message to that? Like, how has your view changed? And what message do you want to share to other men listening to this about that?
I mean, I guess the very first thing that I want to say to anyone that may be listening to this, anyone that may be struggling, you're not alone. You feel alone. Guaranteed you feel alone a lot of the time, if not all the time. For me, the greatest healing came from being able to share aspects of myself that I thought no one else wanted to see. One of the greatest gifts that I've given to my children as a man, as a father, is demonstrating to them that it is okay to not be okay. And when you're not okay, it's also okay to reach out and ask for help. I'm an emotional creature. I am. I freely express my emotions often. Something that I teach when I'm doing like process groups. There's a lot of individuals who are processing my groups. They're focusing on like major assignments, and a lot of the individuals in the group, a lot of the men in the group, they will keep their emotions in check, stow them, because they don't want to take away from the person's processing. And that's one of the things that I put out there to them. Freely express. If you have anger, if you have fear, if you have sadness, if you have tears, if you have shame, let it be seen, because it's only going to enhance the individual's experience. This connection, like this is what really unites you guys, and it's what allows you to heal from these difficulties, difficulties that I know all too well that have felt like anchored me to the floor. And so, especially with my eldest, my son, who's 20, like he and I are so much alike. He's an emotional creature, and that's probably one of the greatest things that I've been able to tell him and share with him, that it's okay to have these emotions. It's okay to express these emotions, and if you don't, you're going to be just like me, where you're shoving, bottling until something happens and you fucking explode. And then you try and gather the contents up, put the cork back on the bottle, and let that sucker begin filling again. And so to be a man in this world, that's a complex question.
It is.
For me, like my truth today, I mentioned my daughter, my 6-year-old, like being able to allow her and be okay with her putting makeup on my face, being okay with her painting my toenails, which they are. They look beautiful right now, but I don't have sandals on. Braiding her hair, showing emotion with her. Like anytime we go to an event nowadays, something that I avoided like the plague, and someone stands up, sings the national anthem, I tear up. I do. And I let all those around me, especially my family, see that, because that emotion is significant. It signifies something important. And you mentioned like grief and loss at the beginning of this. Like part of that is being able to express that emotion. What I often say is that that sadness, that pain is equal to the connection and love that you had for that individual or that thing, whatever it may be. And so to not express that is a disservice to you and them.
Well, one final question I have for you. I mean, you've expressed a lot to everybody listening, but if there was really one biggest strong point for you that you wanted to get out there today about any part of your journey or any part of your therapy, any of it that you really want somebody to hold on to and take away from this, what would it be?
It's how to say it without sounding totally cliche. Don't give up. Keep reaching out. Keep stumbling. Keep falling. How many times after like I would go into treatment or try therapy or try this new thing that I wanted to give up. That suicide became the option, the only option for me, because it felt like the pain was never going to end. The pain does end. Logically, we know this. The most beautiful thing that I've been able to do for myself, with others, is kind of flipping that pain back on its head. It's not talked about enough, I believe. Post-traumatic growth. Nothing more powerful than we can do than turn our pain into something meaningful. And I struggled. I struggled for many, many years to try and get this thing. And I mean, what a damn shame if I had given up so short of what I have now. because my life is, at times, I can't even fathom or understand fully why I have what I have today. And so to not just give up, but when you feel like giving up, reach out to others. I have individuals reach out to me all the time. I hear it all the time, and they're like, I was going to reach out to you, but I didn't want to bother you. And I'm like, hey, whoa, 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 whoa. Let me cut you off right there. Don't ever rob me of the opportunity to be of service to you, you dickhead.
Well, and I know this has been said multiple times in a whole bunch of different ways. I remember it from Batman, but
Why must we?
why must we fall is a good one. But the night is always darkest right before the dawn.
Before the dawn. Yeah.
When you hit that bottom, when you feel like there's nothing, when you climb over that small little hill, see that little glimpse of light, that is an amazing moment. So, well, I'm a little nervous to do this last part here that I usually do just because it's you, Brett, but I'm going to throw it. I turn the table.
Yeah.
What questions do you have for me?
I know that you have a lot of messages you can give. You can hear it every time that I've talked to you on the phone. You can hear it as you were beginning in. What was your moment? Was your moment of like, you kind of talked to me a little bit about it earlier. I'm sure that you've shared it before here. And is your moment even over yet?
I would say my moment's over, but the journey is just getting started.
Yeah.
In my episode of this series, I will dive into, or if you've already listened to it, you've already heard that.
Mm-hmm.
My moment was earlier this year. There was still pretty hard because there really is only a few people that have ever heard this whole story, until now. But there was a moment earlier this year. My wife was gone on a trip. I was home alone with the dogs. My boys were with their mom for the weekend, so it was literally just me home. And I'd been struggling for a long time. I was at my breaking point. I took anything and everything I could throughout that entire day and evening to numb. When I went to bed, I knew I was not going to wake up. And I remember telling my puppy at the time, because he was 6 months old, that I loved him and mom would be back in the morning to take care of him. And so that was my moment. The grace of God. I woke up the next morning and could not believe that I was still here locally. And Frankie's become a friend since, but he talked about his moment and his experience on that episode that gave me the bravery, and because he was vulnerable enough to share his moment, his struggles, that told me I wasn't alone. So that is what has started this entire journey of, I want to say, probably one of the most amazing years of my entire life. I am extremely grateful for 2024 and always will be a special place in my heart this year. And I want to say thank you so much. This has been just an amazing episode, just an amazing time, conversation, getting to know you better. I've known bits and pieces of your story, throughout the years when we've got together, but I've never heard kind of the whole thing. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful in the pain. And it's beautiful how you've accepted the pain and embraced it and turned around to help all these around us. So, I just want to say thank you for the work you're doing, that you continue to do every day with the people who are struggling, that are asking for the help. As we do, I just want to throw it out there. Everybody who listens to this podcast does know that we are partners with the I Love You Bro Project. It is a free support system, nonprofit group for men out there. If you're struggling, guys, reach out, check us out online. If you are needing somebody to talk to, reach out. We have support groups almost every single night held in the state for free. We offer free therapy. If you need it, reach out to us. We'll get you in contact with the people. We also have help with suicide prevention. If you just need that person to talk to, reach out to the suicide hotline, reach out to a friend, reach out to one of us on the website. We're here for you. And I just want to say thank you. I'm grateful for all of you who have turned in today, listened to this amazing story. I really hope that something in this story, in this episode, has really sat well with you to help enrich your life and help you become a better person, or that you can pass this episode on to somebody in your life that you're struggling with. Again, we could not be here without all of your support. Thank you again. Please subscribe. Please let your friends about us. Hit us out online at www.survivinglifespickles.com. And if anybody needs anything, we're here for you. Thank you. And we will see you next episode.
Thanks.